My beloved child, stop scrolling. Please, just for a second. This isn't a coincidence. This is a divine intervention. You are standing right at the edge of a moment that can change everything. And I need you to feel how serious this is. I've been watching. I've seen your late nights, your silent cries. I've seen those moments no one else saw when you had to hold your breath and just keep walking, even when everything inside you was breaking. I've seen it all. Not 1 second was missed. I saw when you were laughed at, when they overlooked you, when you were the last in the room, but the first in your heart to serve. I saw when you forgave, when no one knew how badly you were hurt. You think you're just surviving, but what I see is someone being set up for something massive. The kind of shift that changes not only your life, but the generations that come after you. I didn't bring you this far just to show you the view from the edge. I brought you here because I'm about to push open a door no one can shut. But before you step through it, you need to hear my voice. This is the kind of moment you can't afford to miss, and that's why I'm telling you. Don't take another step without me. What you're about to walk into will require faith, boldness, and complete surrender. This isn't just about what you've been through. This is about where I am taking you. And if you try to go without hearing me now, you'll miss the very thing you've been praying for. There is a blessing waiting for your obedience, and it's hanging in the balance of what you do next. That's why I need your full attention. This is not just another day. This is not just another word. This is the moment I've been preparing you for. And it's not coming with loud applause or fireworks. It's coming in this quiet pause, this divine interruption. So don't ignore this message, thinking you've heard something like it before. This is personal. This is precise. And it is urgent. There is something being released in the spirit that has your name on it, and I won't let the enemy steal it through distraction or delay. I have guarded you for this very hour. I have covered you, even when you didn't know what was attacking you. I have held back storms just long enough for you to hear this. You are closer than you think, and you've endured far too much to let confusion keep you from stepping into it. But you cannot step in halfway, half committed, half in. You must be all in. You must understand what you're carrying. You must know that I did not let the fire consume you, because what's coming out of the fire is a version of you that even hell is afraid of. You are standing at the edge, not of destruction, but of your greatest transformation. And I'm not saying this to make you feel good. I'm saying this because the moment has arrived. Everything I've whispered in your spirit, every confirmation I've sent, every delay that didn't make sense, it's all leading here. You were never forgotten. You were never abandoned. You were in preparation for the unveiling. And I need to talk to you right now, because one wrong step without me could throw everything off. So stop wondering if this is for you. Stop questioning if you're worthy. Stop doubting if you can handle it. You were made for this moment, and I've been waiting for you to realize it. I won't let you walk into what's ahead until you pause and take this in. Because what I need to speak into you now is not advice. It is divine direction. You're standing between what was and what is becoming. And in this in-between space, what you decide to believe will either unlock a flood of favor or delay what has already been written for you. I know you're eager to break out, to rise, to reclaim what was lost. But haste without wisdom leads to cycles, not progress. That's why I've stopped everything around you. Not to punish, not to confuse, but to redirect. There's an alignment happening in the unseen right now that demands your full awareness. You've been waiting for answers, but I've been waiting for silence. For that sacred moment when you finally tune out the noise and let me have your undivided soul. This moment is more than a response to your desperation. It is a calibration of your destiny. I need you to unlearn what fear taught you. I need you to stop looking for clues in people who can't see the vision I gave only to you. There is a precision to what I'm building in your life, and if you try to copy someone else's pattern, you'll end up missing the design I handcrafted for your unique assignment. You're not late, and you're not forgotten. You're being positioned. But that positioning requires more than movement. It requires revelation. You must recognize what's been sent to distract you and what's been placed to grow you. Stop calling delays disappointments. Some of them are doors I locked on purpose. And I did it because what you were asking for was too small compared to what I'm preparing. You've been praying for change, but I have been preparing you to become the change. And that's why what I have to say right now matters more than anything else around you. You don't need another sign. You need surrender. You don't need more strength. You need strategy. I'm not calling you to fight harder. I'm calling you to trust deeper. I know the pressure has been building. I know the silence has been loud. I know it feels like nothing is shifting. But in the background, I've been rearranging the impossible for your favor. I have been canceling plots, dismantling curses, restoring years and moments. And yet you keep looking for me in familiar places. But I'm not showing up the way I did before. I'm revealing myself in unexpected ways, through closed doors, strange encounters, even through disappointment. I'm talking right now, but not through thunder. I'm speaking through stillness. I'm not hiding, I'm revealing. But you'll only see it when you stop chasing what I've already called you away from. This is why I needed to speak now. Because if you step ahead carrying the same old weight, if you walk into this new season with yesterday's instructions, you'll end up misreading my movement. I'm not doing a repeat. I'm doing something that eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard. That's why I've been silent. That's why I've let things slow down. That's why certain doors closed. Not because I was done, but because I needed your full attention for what's next. Don't assume I'm absent when I'm being deliberate. Don't confuse a pause with punishment. I'm giving you something that requires room to receive. But to carry what's coming, your hands must be emptied of what you refuse to release. Listen carefully. What's ahead is not just bigger, it's weightier. And I will not let you move forward until your spirit is ready to handle the responsibility of the next level. You've been trusted with the pain. Now I will trust you with the purpose. But only if you pause, lean in, and let these words anchor you for what's about to unfold. There are thoughts racing through your mind that are not rooted in truth. And if I do not interrupt them now, they will carry you into decisions shaped by fear rather than faith. You've been trying to discern right from wrong while your soul is carrying emotional weight it was never designed to bear alone. I see the choices you're juggling, paths that all seem urgent, voices that keep offering suggestions, pressures that feel impossible to escape. But none of them will lead you to peace if I am not the one guiding your next step. This heaviness inside you didn't come from me. That pressure to prove something, that guilt tied to past moments, that anxious stirring that keeps you second-guessing every move. That's the residue of battles you tried to fight without letting me lead. And I can't let you continue making choices from a place of weariness. When you're burdened, your vision gets blurred. You start misreading opportunities as obligations, divine pauses as failures, and correction as rejection. That's why I need to step in now, because clarity is about to become your weapon. No more indecision. No more cycles of starting and stopping. No more wasting energy on things I never asked you to carry. You've cried for wisdom, and now I'm answering. But it will not look like ease. It will look like alignment. And alignment will often feel like discomfort because it will require you to release options that comforted your pain but compromised your purpose. I know your heart feels torn. I know you want to do the right thing, but you've been listening to every voice except mine, and it's created a storm of confusion in your spirit. I need you to silence the background and come closer. I'm not going to shout over the noise. I'll whisper until you lean in. I want to give you understanding that transcends what others have told you. I want to show you how to move without panic, how to act without approval, how to step without fear of the outcome. But I can't do that if you're still chasing clarity from external signs. You don't need another opinion. You need divine instruction. I've placed direction within your spirit, but you keep second-guessing what you already know as me. That uneasiness you felt wasn't a warning against movement. It was me calling you into rest so I could reset your internal compass. You were never meant to make kingdom choices from an exhausted place. You've been overwhelmed because you've tried to carry new revelation with old reasoning. But that's not how I work. I am doing a new thing in you, and it will demand a new posture from you. No more striving to make everything make sense before you obey. I'm not revealing the whole picture because faith must lead. And I know that scares you. I know you want guarantees. You want the steps mapped out. You want to see the finish line before you begin. But what I'm doing in this season is teaching you to trust me, not the path. I'm removing the fog from your mind, not by answering every question, but by anchoring your heart in me. I am the clarity, I am the direction, I am the peace you've been seeking. Let go of needing everything to be certain before you move. The weight will lift when you stop leaning on your own understanding and lean into me. This is not about figuring it all out. It's about learning to follow even when the way isn't fully visible. You're not lost, you're being led. And I needed to speak this now, before one more decision is made from a place of heaviness that was never yours to carry. Lift your eyes. There is a shift coming, but it starts with surrender, not strategy. You've been fighting silently, torn between what you know and what you feel, carrying an internal conflict that you've hidden from everyone around you. Even in moments of stillness, your heart feels like a battlefield. Desires pulling in one direction, winds pulling in another, and thoughts that contradict the truth, trying to drown out the calm I offer. You smile on the outside, while turbulent storms rage within. And I know you've tried to pretend it's not that bad. You've tried to distract yourself, overwork yourself, even numb yourself, hoping that somehow the chaos inside would resolve itself with time. But I can't allow you to keep living like this. I see through the strength you wear like armor. I know about the nights you couldn't sleep, the decisions you were too afraid to speak out loud, the emotions that overwhelmed you when no one was watching. I am not condemning you. I'm coming to restore balance where everything feels upside down. This unrest you feel wasn't meant to linger. It's been a signal, alerting you that you've been moving at a pace I never asked for, influenced by voices I didn't authorize, and driven by expectations that were never yours to meet. You've been caught between trying to be enough for others and longing to feel whole within yourself. And that friction, that daily mental weight, it's not from me. I created you for peace, not pressure, for assurance, not anxiety. But you've let doubt pitch its tent in your heart, and now you don't know what quiet feels like anymore. I want to bring order where confusion has built its home. I want to silence the war that keeps replaying past moments, making you feel responsible for every wrong turn, every missed chance, every broken piece. You don't need to carry that torment any longer. Let me in. I won't force my way into the places you've sealed shut, but I will wait at the door until you invite me to enter the very room you've avoided. The healing you've craved can't come from pretending the pain doesn't exist. I know you're scared of facing what's buried, but peace doesn't come by erasing your story. It comes by letting me rewrite how you see it. There are lies you've been living under that I'm ready to shatter right now. Lies that say you're too damaged, too far gone, too unstable, too weak. But I look at you and I see someone still standing, despite it all. Someone I've protected in countless unseen ways. Someone whose future is not finished just because their feelings feel loud. You've mistaken turbulence for truth, but emotions aren't the final authority. I am. And I say you're chosen, you're whole, and you're free to breathe again. So let the war end. You don't have to fix it all before coming to me. You don't have to solve what's breaking you before you rest. You don't have to have perfect faith to receive the calm I'm offering. Just be still. That's all I'm asking for now. Still your mind, still your striving, still your self-criticism, and let me begin the mending. What's been tormenting you is losing power in this very moment. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally opened space for my peace to flow in. This isn't temporary relief. This is the beginning of an inner quiet that cannot be shaken by what happens around you. I'm settling things deep within, not through a dramatic event, but through this divine interruption. I need you to know that the battle you've been trying to fight by yourself is no longer yours. I'm taking it over. I'm handling what's kept you restless. I'm lifting the internal weight you thought you'd always carry. The noise inside your soul is about to be replaced by a stillness that makes no sense to the natural mind. Because it will come not from the absence of storms, but from the presence of the one who controls them. Some of what you've taken responsibility for, it isn't yours to carry, but you've held it so tightly for so long that it feels like part of who you are. But I see how exhausted your soul has become under that invisible weight. The emotional strain, the pressure to hold it all together, the silent expectation that if you don't do it, no one else will. You've been functioning through fatigue, showing up with strength when internally you felt moments away from collapsing. And the most painful part? You believed it was noble, that it was what I asked of you. But I never told you to carry that. I never asked you to sacrifice your well-being to meet standards that weren't born from my voice. Somewhere along the way, you confused responsibility with burden, and you've been dragging things behind you that were only meant to be placed at my feet. I know it's hard to let go, especially when you've built your identity around being the strong one, the dependable one, the rescuer, the one who always finds a way. But in saving everyone else, you've been losing pieces of yourself. And that was never my plan. You weren't designed to bear what only I can sustain. I've watched you give without limits, pour without pause, serve without rest. But now, I need you to understand that even your strength has boundaries. And those boundaries are sacred. You're not letting me down by resting. You're not failing anyone by saying, "This isn't mine to hold." I'm calling you into a different rhythm, one that honors your humanity while drawing on my divinity. There is power in surrender, and there's glory in release. You've built walls around your heart, trying to protect yourself from the weight of disappointment. But in doing so, you've also blocked the relief I've been trying to offer. I want to help you, but I won't compete with the things you've elevated above my help. Your plans, your fears, your pride, your assumptions that I need you to manage everything on your own. You've done all you can. You've tried every route, explored every angle, and exhausted yourself trying to control outcomes that were never yours to oversee. And still you wonder why you're weary. It's not because you're weak, it's because you've stepped into a role that wasn't yours. I am the burden bearer. I am the sustainer. I am the one who lifts when your arms give out. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to earn your worth through labor. I saw your value before you ever did a thing for me. And even now, when you feel like you've dropped what mattered most, I still call you chosen, worthy, deeply loved. Lay it down. Whatever it is, that family pressure, that unspoken regret, that fear of not being enough, that weight of other people's expectations, place it in my hands. I can hold what's breaking you. I can carry what's suffocating your joy. I can take the heaviness that's been attached to your identity and break it off completely. This is not a temporary release. This is the beginning of a permanent shift. You were not meant to live crushed under the demands of the world or the heaviness of your own perfectionism. You were created to move freely in grace, not limp through life under emotional debt. This is the moment I begin freeing you, not just from responsibilities that weren't yours, but from the mindset that said you had to do it all to be loved. My love isn't earned, it's constant. My strength is unconditional. It's available. And my peace isn't reserved for those who finish first. It's promised to those who trust me enough to stop running. Let me carry what's too heavy. Let me hold what's slipping. Let me handle what's breaking your back and bruising your spirit. You were never meant to do this alone. You've been holding it long enough. Now, it's time to let me take it from here. You were closer to quitting than anyone realized. Not just on your circumstances, but on the hope you tried so hard to keep alive inside. I witnessed that exact second. When the strength in you nearly vanished, when your soul whispered, "I can't do this anymore," even though your lips never formed the words. You kept moving through the motions, but your spirit was dimming, and the spark you once had felt buried beneath layers of discouragement. And while no one around you noticed the shift, I did. That invisible collapse of your heart didn't go unnoticed in heaven. When you were sitting in that room, staring blankly with a mind so loud and a heart so numb, I was there. When the weight of disappointment crushed your chest and it felt like you couldn't breathe through another unanswered prayer, I wrapped my presence around you. You didn't feel me because I didn't come with fireworks. I came with stillness. I didn't rush in with thunder. I came like breath. Not because your desperation wasn't worthy of a dramatic rescue, but because what you needed most wasn't noise. It was nearness. I came close without disturbing the silence, because that's when your soul was finally quiet enough to hear me. When everything felt broken beyond repair and you questioned why I hadn't intervened sooner, I was already working in ways that could only be revealed through endurance. My grace was surrounding you like a shield when the enemy thought he had you cornered. He assumed your silence was surrender. But he didn't know that my strength was being made perfect right in the midst of your weakness. You wanted immediate escape, but I offered invisible rescue. Not by removing you from the trial instantly, but by fortifying your inner core so that you wouldn't collapse under the pressure. What looked like abandonment to you was actually me absorbing the weight you could no longer carry. And even when you couldn't sense me, I never left. I was closer than your own thoughts, guarding your soul from collapse, anchoring your mind through moments you didn't think you'd survive. You thought the pain had the final say, but I was rewriting the script in real time. I intercepted the lies that were building like walls around your faith. I shut down every demonic whisper that said, "This is where it ends," because it wasn't. You didn't see the battles being fought for your life in the spiritual realm. But I did. I saw the arrows that were aimed at your destiny. I caught the curses spoken over your progress. I interrupted patterns of destruction that tried to disguise themselves as familiar cycles. And I did it all without spectacle, because I knew that what would sustain you wasn't a flash of light. It was the truth that I'm never absent, even in the shadows. You've questioned if I really cared, because I didn't answer the way you expected. But what you didn't realize is that my silence was never me ignoring you. It was me surrounding you. I was filling the gaps where people fell short. I was stepping into the places where encouragement was absent. And I was rebuilding your inner foundation. Not with applause, but with my word spoken directly to your core. You didn't crumble because I reinforced you. You didn't shatter because I caught the pieces. You didn't fade because I whispered strength into you when you had nothing left to offer. That moment you nearly gave up. That exact breath where defeat felt inevitable. That's where my intervention began. And now, on the other side of that unspoken collapse, I'm preparing to lift you into something far greater than anything you would have reached had you never reached that breaking point. You didn't break, you bent, you bent, you bowed, and now you rise. Not in your own might, but in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are held. Even when you feel hidden, you've been asking me for confirmation, pleading for direction, waiting for some undeniable proof to settle your decisions. But the truth is, I've already been speaking, not through thunderclaps or flashing lights, but through moments you dismissed as ordinary. I sent clarity through conversations that echoed what I whispered in your spirit days earlier. I spoke through interruptions you called inconvenience, through delays that frustrated you, through instincts you second-guessed. I placed peace in your gut when something was right, and uneasiness in your chest when something wasn't. But you kept brushing those signals aside, thinking they were your own thoughts. You keep looking up, expecting me to speak louder, but I've already written the message in the very situations you're walking through. You asked me to reveal what's next, but then ignored the discomfort I allowed. To push you out of what was no longer for you. I didn't hide the truth. I embedded it in the unfolding of your daily steps. A door that wouldn't open, no matter how hard you pushed. That wasn't rejection. That was redirection. That person who exited suddenly without reason, that wasn't abandonment. That was protection. The path you thought was blocked unfairly, it was me rerouting your journey before it took a toll on your soul. You didn't miss the sign. You missed its meaning, because you keep expecting me to speak in ways that match your logic, when my ways exceed human understanding. I don't operate within your frameworks of convenience or timing. I don't shout to compete with your chaos. I move with precision, always aligning outcomes with eternal purpose, not temporary comfort. You want a voice booming from the clouds, but I've been speaking through the quiet nudges, the closed roads, the sense of release you couldn't explain, the random reminder that made you pause and think, the dream that wouldn't leave your mind. And I'll keep showing you, but I need you to start perceiving instead of merely observing. Stop waiting for everything to line up perfectly before you trust me. Sometimes I'll give you direction without explanation, not to confuse you, but to grow your discernment. I am not a distant observer watching your confusion from afar. I am an active guide, walking beside you, weaving truth into every moment you breathe. If you would slow down long enough to reflect instead of react, you'd see the evidence of my fingerprints all over your life. That cancellation you were angry about, it was a trap I removed before it could form. That disappointment you're still questioning, it was an answer to a prayer you forgot you even prayed. You've asked me to lead, but when I do, you second-guess my methods. That's why this conversation couldn't wait. Because you're at a turning point, and if you keep interpreting everything by surface logic, you'll overlook the miracle disguised in discomfort. I'm not asking you to figure everything out. I'm asking you to recognize that I've already been guiding you. Not everything I allowed is meant to feel good. Some of my greatest answers come in the form of no access. Some of my biggest blessings are packaged in separation. You're praying for breakthrough, but I've been bringing clarity first, because without vision, you'll misuse the opportunity when it arrives. I'm trying to train your eyes to see beyond what's obvious, your heart to trust without needing a manual. There are patterns I've been trying to show you, wisdom I've been placing in front of you. But if you keep dismissing the subtle, you'll miss the supernatural. I'm in the pause. I'm in the shift. I'm in the detour. I'm in the instinct you can't shake. And I'm asking you to tune in, because the next step you're about to take will require you to follow my lead without hesitation. This isn't the time for delay. This isn't the time for doubt. It's time to open your eyes, because I've been answering you all along. There is something unfolding in this very second that is more important than any task on your list, any plan you've made, or any thought racing through your head. You may not realize it yet, but right now is not just another passing minute. This is a divine intersection. I have paused heaven's movement to get your attention. I am reaching through the noise, through the demands, through your distractions. Because what I need to release cannot wait. You've been operating on autopilot, rushing from one thing to the next, believing that activity equals progress. But this moment is not about movement. It's about stillness. It's about encounter. You're not here by accident. You didn't stumble upon this message. You were led here because I've been trying to reach you through 1,000 other ways, and now I've silenced everything else to speak directly to you. Set it all down. The pressure, the planning, the internal dialogue that keeps looping. Place it at my feet for just a moment. Because what I'm doing right now won't happen again in the same way. You're standing in a divine appointment. You've been searching for alignment, for breakthrough, for some assurance that you're not missing it. And this is it. Not in a flash of lightning, but in the simplicity of this pause. I am imparting something eternal. You've been so focused on what's next that you've forgotten to receive what's now. But this is holy ground, not because of the place, but because of my presence invading this exact space and time. I am removing layers of noise that have built up in your spirit. I am clearing the fog of pressure that made you think you had to earn what I've already prepared. The reason I'm asking you to stop isn't because I want less from you. It's because I want more for you. I want you to see with new eyes. I want you to sense me without second guessing. I want you to receive a word that reshapes the way you move forward. But you can't do that if your attention is divided. You've been trying to hear me through filters I never placed, and in doing so, you've only caught fragments, pieces of truth that felt unclear because your heart wasn't fully present. I don't need perfect focus, but I do require a surrendered one. The kind that says, whatever you want to say, I'm listening. You have no idea how many divine moments you've missed because they didn't look dramatic. But here, now I am inviting you into a moment that holds the weight of destiny. It's not loud, but it's loaded. There are things I want to drop into your spirit, strategies, visions, clarity, fresh strength. But you can't catch anything while your hands are already full. Empty yourself, even if just for a few breaths. I'm not in a hurry. I've waited for this. You don't need to perform, you don't need to recite the right words. Just be. Just sit, just breathe. Let my presence wrap around you and remind you that sometimes the most powerful shifts happen in silence. Not when you're striving, but when you're surrendered. I am here, not to demand more effort, but to deposit more of myself into the parts of you that feel dry and depleted. This is where healing begins, in the stillness you've avoided. This is where transformation takes root, not through force, but through attention. I've been passing by, but now I'm stopping in front of you. Don't miss it. Don't rush this. Sacred moments are rare, not because I'm far, but because you rarely slow down long enough to notice when I'm near. But right now, you've paused. And because of that, I am pouring out what has been waiting for your awareness. You won't leave this moment the same, not because you tried harder, but because you finally allowed me to do what only I can do. When you simply stop, open, and receive. There's a reason everything suddenly feels heavier, noisier, and more urgent. It's not a coincidence that confusion has intensified, that temptations feel stronger, that old emotions are resurfacing, that your peace seems to disappear the moment you start to move forward. That resistance isn't random. It's a targeted strategy, designed to pull your focus just before I unveil what I've been preparing. You've been under pressure. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're nearing the very shift the enemy hoped you'd never reach. You are approaching a moment that will realign your life, break spiritual blockages, and release answers that have been delayed for years. And the closer you get, the louder the chaos becomes. He's trying to bait you with distractions, not just through external interruptions, but through internal warfare. You've been battling thoughts that weren't yours to entertain. Doubts you thought you buried are whispering again. Old wounds are trying to reopen. Even familiar voices are suddenly questioning what you're building. It's not by chance. That's a scheme. If he can't destroy your purpose, he'll try to deter your process. If he can't steal your calling, he'll aim to steal your focus. Because vision without clarity leads to exhaustion, and a weary soul is easy to mislead. But hear me now. Do not let the noise convince you you're off track. The shaking around you is confirmation that you're nearing something sacred. You wouldn't be pressing this hard if you weren't standing on the edge of a spiritual release. You don't need to fear his attacks, but you do need to recognize his tactics. He's trying to make you feel overwhelmed, so you will shrink. He's sowing distraction into your routine, so you'll delay the very thing I told you to build. He's stirring up drama in your relationships, so you will question your discernment. But if you stay anchored in me, none of these tactics will succeed. I never ask you to fight distractions with willpower. I ask you to fight by abiding, by remaining so close to my presence that everything not of me loses access to your mind. When chaos rises, yours not control. It's communion. You've been trying to think what was meant to be outrun by worship. You've been trying to solve what was only meant to be silenced through prayer. Don't argue with lies. Drown them out with truth. Don't get stuck analyzing the attack. Lift your gaze and remember that I've already overcome the source of every accusation, every delay, every false narrative thrown at you. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to sharpen. I am equipping you in this exact moment to rise above the fog, not by escaping the conflict, but by discerning through it. The distraction is loud because it's afraid of what's next. The enemy doesn't waste energy on those going nowhere. He reserves his fiercest resistance for those who are stepping into revelation. You, right now, are stepping into that. And he knows it. That's why it feels like everything is pulling for your attention. Because if he can't steal your future, he'll try to waste your now. But I've given you the power to recognize the difference between movement and momentum. Just because it demands your attention doesn't mean it deserves your energy. Just because it looks urgent doesn't mean it carries purpose. Be still within, even if the storm rages outside. You're not called to fight every fire. You're called to follow my fire, and I'm leading you through. Don't lose your footing now. Don't hand over your peace in exchange for temporary relief. Stay rooted, stay locked in, stay aware. The temptation to be distracted will always increase right before destiny begins to manifest. But you don't have to fall for it. You are more focused than you think. You are more covered than you feel. You are further than you know. And the breakthrough you've been waiting on is already forming just beyond this fog. Don't turn back. Don't slow down. Keep walking. The release is closer than the resistance wants you to believe. This isn't an ordinary moment you're standing in. It's the edge of divine fulfillment. There's a sacred unfolding ahead, but it can only be accessed through obedience, not observation. What I'm preparing to place in your hands isn't random favor, it's intentional inheritance. It's the kind of breakthrough that shifts generations, the kind of opening that comes after seasons of testing, trimming, and transformation. But for it to come fully into view, your ears must be sharper than your emotions, and your heart more attuned than your logic. You're being summoned into a realm where power doesn't come from effort, but from alignment. I'm not asking you to strive harder, I am asking you to yield quicker. The next steps will not be based on what makes the most sense or pleases the crowd, but on the quiet instructions that rise within your spirit when the noise fades. You've cried out for something beyond survival. You've asked me to take you deeper, to make your life matter for more than just routine. And now the door stands before you. But the key is listening, not halfway, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, fully, attentively, with a readiness to respond even when the instruction stretches you. I won't force the door open. I'm unlocking it through revelation. This will not be like the last season. The tools you used before won't work here. What moved you in the past may feel irrelevant now. And that's because you've outgrown shallow waters. I've matured you for something heavier in glory. But with increased responsibility comes increased clarity. And clarity is born from stillness. I need you to stop treating your calling like a casual option. I need you to realize what's at stake when you delay obedience. The earth is groaning for what I've deposited inside you. Others are waiting on your yes. And what I'm asking isn't just about you. It's about unlocking a ripple effect of deliverance for people you haven't even met yet. That's how weighty this moment is. That's why I've been speaking in layers. Dreams, impressions, divine interruptions, even closed opportunities. I'm training your senses to respond faster than your fears. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. You don't need to feel ready, you just need to follow. And if you truly grasp what's being released into your atmosphere right now, you wouldn't hesitate to act. You're not waiting for opportunity. Opportunity is waiting for your agreement. I'm already ahead of you, placing your name in conversations, building favor in places you haven't stepped into yet. But I cannot endorse delay. I've spoken, and now I'm watching to see if you'll move when it's uncomfortable, trust when it's unclear, and advance even when applause is absent. The enemy will try to lure you back into analysis. He'll remind you of past failures. He'll amplify voices that plant seeds of hesitation. But I need your yes to be louder than your questions. I need your faith to outrun your fears. Because what's coming isn't just a moment, it's a movement. You are stepping into territory that carries oil, revelation, and access. But your posture must match the weight of what I'm releasing. This isn't the time for casual steps or partial surrender. This is the time to incline your ear, to sharpen your focus, to tune your soul to my frequency. Every time you choose to pause and listen, even when everything around you demands action, you become a vessel for something beyond what human hands could build. This is how miracles begin, not in the spectacular, but in the surrendered. That whisper you've been hearing over and over, it's not your imagination, it's me, drawing you into deeper waters. And the moment you obey, without needing confirmation from anyone else, you will see the power I've prepared to flow through your life. What's waiting on the other side of obedience isn't small. It's history-making. You're not about to repeat another cycle. You're about to be the first in your line to break it. But only if you listen. Only if you move when I say go. Only if you respond like you know this moment wasn't meant to pass by unnoticed. Because I'm here, right now, asking for your attention. And what comes next depends on what you do with this holy interruption. You've been exposed to so many outside voices that they've begun shaping how you see yourself. Slowly replacing what I declared over your life with the noise of false identities. The world tries to define you by results, numbers, image, and performance. But that is not how I mark those I call my own. I don't measure you by your status or your success. I don't label you by your flaws or your failures. I named you long before anyone else had a chance to speak over you. And what I spoke is still active. But lately, you've allowed experiences to distort your reflection. You've allowed disappointment to speak louder than destiny. You've let rejection rewrite your value, and shame sneak into your self-perception. And that's why I need to speak right now. Before you wear labels that don't belong to you, before you agree with lies that feel familiar but are completely false, the version of yourself you settled for is not the one I created. You've been seeing yourself through the lens of the battles you've survived. But I see you through the blueprint I formed before time began. You are not defined by how many people accept you, how much you achieve, or how little you feel. You are not weak, you are not overlooked, and you are not replaceable. You are intentional. You are chosen. You are called by name, not by accident, but by assignment. I knit you together with detail and purpose. I placed gifts inside of you that haven't even been fully awakened yet. But if you continue to walk through life believing that your worth is determined by the opinions of those who can't see your full story, you will keep shrinking into versions of yourself that were never meant to exist. I don't want you to survive by becoming invisible. I didn't design you to play small just to be accepted. You were made to walk in boldness, not arrogance, but holy confidence. The kind that comes from knowing that I stamped your identity with my approval. I have called you light in dark places. I have anointed you to stand when others fall. I have placed a mark on your life that no critic, no loss, no failure can erase. And I see how the pressures of life have made you doubt that. I see how some days you feel like you're not enough, not spiritual enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. But I need you to silence that inner dialogue. And let me remind you, I chose you with full knowledge of your imperfections. I picked you, knowing every wound, every fear, every part of your story. And still, I saw greatness wrapped in the humility. I saw courage beneath the quiet. I saw leadership forming in the midst of obscurity. I'm not second-guessing my decision. I'm not disappointed in your pace. I'm not comparing you to anyone else. I know exactly what I'm doing with you. And you don't need to strive to prove it. You just need to remember it. You need to realign with truth before this world reshapes your perspective. You're not who pain said you were. You're not who betrayal tried to convince you to become. You're not a product of the criticism or the failures you've encountered. You are mine, and nothing, no failure, no delay, no fear, can separate you from the identity I declared over you. This is the moment to reclaim it, to remember that your voice matters, that your presence carries impact, that your life is more than survival. I need you to stop agreeing with smallness. Stop attaching your identity to what happened. Start standing in the full authority of who I've called you to be. I'm not waiting for you to be perfect. I'm waiting for you to believe again. Not in yourself alone, but in the truth that I've equipped you with everything you need. You don't need another sign. You need to stop letting culture define what I already confirmed. And if you would pause long enough to hear me, not the crowd, not the past, not your fear, you would see I've been reminding you all along. You are exactly who I said you were, and that will never change. You've held back so much pain, thinking if no one sees it, it won't matter. But I saw every single tear that slid down your face when you thought the world had turned away. I caught the ones that never made it down your cheek, because you blinked them back to appear strong. I felt the weight of every emotion you swallowed, just to keep functioning. Just to keep from falling apart in front of others who wouldn't understand. You've grown so used to suppressing your struggles that you've started to believe that your vulnerability is weakness. That your raw moments should be hidden, tucked away, buried beneath performance or silence. But I want you to know something sacred. I never overlooked a single drop of your sorrow. The sobs muffled by your pillow, I was there. The ache in your chest you couldn't put into words. I understood every syllable your soul couldn't form. You didn't have to explain. I read it all in your silence. I'm not moved only by the prayers you speak. I'm moved by the agony you carry when your lips can no longer shape what your heart is screaming. I don't require eloquence to respond. I don't need perfect language to act. I move when my children are broken, when their hearts tremble under pressure they can't name. And you've been holding so much. Not just current pain, but layered wounds from years ago. Things you never had a safe place to release. Grief that others dismissed. Disappointments you didn't dare process aloud. I see all of it, and it matters to me. You have not cried in vain, not once. Each tear carried a message. Some said I'm trying, others said I'm scared, a few said I'm lost, and many said I can't do this anymore. And though your words were few, my response has been unfolding. I've been building something behind the scenes from the very tears you thought disappeared into the darkness. They didn't vanish, they planted seeds. Seeds of comfort, seeds of redemption, seeds of restoration. What was poured out in agony will bloom in a way you never expected. And I know you're tired. I know you've questioned why things had to hurt so much, why healing takes so long, why relief feels delayed. But there's something I've been cultivating in that quiet place, a deeper trust. A pure dependence, an intimate bond between me and you that isn't based on miracles or answered prayers, but on the certainty that I'm with you, even when the pain doesn't lift right away. You've been conditioned to equate my presence with immediate solutions, but sometimes I stay with you in the tears, not because I lack power to end the pain, but because there's power in walking with you through it. You've learned to cling to me, not because everything was fixed, but because I became your only source when everything else failed to soothe you. That kind of closeness can't be fabricated. It's forged in fire, and your tears have been part of that refining. So don't be ashamed of the moments you broke down. Don't hide the nights you wept without sound. Those were not signs of failure. They were sacred expressions of your humanity crying out to divinity. And I responded, not with judgment, but with compassion. I surrounded you when you thought no one saw. I sat beside you when the room felt empty. I placed peace over your mind when the chaos tried to consume you. And though you didn't always feel it, my presence never withdrew. You are not weak because you weep. You are not forgotten because you mourn. You are not abandoned because you ache. You are loved in the depths of your sadness, heard in the stillness of your sobs, held in the privacy of your breaking. I am not waiting for you to be whole to cherish you. I'm cherishing you now. In your pain, in your questions, in your silent breakdowns. And the beauty is, I'm not just counting your tears, I'm redeeming them. I'm shaping purpose from pain, building beauty from brokenness, writing glory into the places you once only knew grief. So let it out, even if no one else hears. I do. And to me, your silence is never empty. You've measured time by what hasn't happened yet, assuming that slow seasons were evidence of something wrong within you, as if stillness meant failure, or that your prayers being held back somehow reflected my disappointment. But what you saw as stagnation was actually strategy. I've been preserving you in ways you didn't recognize, keeping certain doors closed because you weren't meant to enter them under pressure, distraction, or emotional fatigue. You thought I forgot you. In reality, I shielded you from people who weren't prepared to handle your heart, from opportunities that looked golden but were secretly laced with exhaustion, from partnerships that would have derailed your joy, from platforms that would have exposed you before your foundation was secure. I delayed what you thought you were ready for, not because I doubted your desire, but because I loved you enough to protect your purpose. You wanted the next level quickly, but you didn't see the hidden warfare attached to premature access. What you interpreted as me holding you back was actually me walking ahead of you, clearing the dangers you didn't know existed. I protected your name from being attached to things that looked successful but were soaked in compromise. I rerouted you from environments where your voice would have been silenced, your worth minimized, and your fire diminished. Even the things you begged me for, I paused them because I saw the weight they carried, and I refused to watch them crush you. You didn't fail. You were preserved. You weren't late. You were spared. While you were pleading for open doors, I was fortifying the structure inside of you so that when access came, you could stand under it without crumbling. I saw the rooms you wanted to enter and knew that if you went in too soon, they'd shape you instead of you shifting them. I didn't deny you. I developed you. The world may value speed, but I value depth. And while you watched others accelerate, I was taking you deeper. Not as punishment, but as preparation. You didn't miss your moment. I've been multiplying it in hidden places. You thought you were being overlooked, but I was writing your name in the blueprint of something greater than you imagined. I wasn't saying no. I was saying, not like this. Not with rushed timelines. Not with borrowed strategies. Not with a heart still healing. I needed to slow things down so you could stop running on empty. You were moving so fast, trying to prove your readiness, that you missed the invitation to rest in my process. And in my process, delay is never denial. It's design. I've been carefully crafting something that matches the weight of your calling. And that takes time. You don't build a foundation for a skyscraper in the same way you build one for a tent. You've been chosen for something tall, something expansive, something generational, and that requires depth before height. So instead of rushing through seasons that feel still, I'm asking you to reframe them. See the pause as my hand holding you back from harm. See the waiting as the womb of wisdom. See the slowing as sacred, not a setback. I'm not late, I'm precise, I'm not stalling, I'm stabilizing. And if you could see what I've blocked, the betrayals, the burnout, the breakdowns, you'd be on your knees thanking me for every not yet. You're stepping into a time now where what felt withheld will begin to unfold. But I need you to remember this truth. Just because it took longer doesn't mean it lost its worth. If anything, the delay made it richer, more rooted, more resilient. So don't resent what didn't arrive when you expected. Celebrate that it's arriving right on divine schedule, untouched by premature pressure and wrapped in the covering of my perfect care. I know the silence has felt heavy, like your prayers echo into a void, like my presence has drifted into the distance, like I've turned my face away and left you to navigate the darkness alone. But I need to tell you a truth the enemy has tried hard to keep hidden. I have never stepped away. In fact, I've drawn so near to you in this hour that if you could see in the spirit, you'd be overwhelmed by how surrounded you truly are. My nearness doesn't always come with goosebumps or dramatic signs. Sometimes it feels like nothing. But it changes everything. You've mistaken the absence of noise for the absence of God. But I've been here, leaning in closer than breath, nearer than thought. I've wrapped myself around you in rooms where fear tried to whisper lies into your soul. I've stood beside your bed at night, placing peace over your rest when anxiety wanted to keep you awake. I've walked next to you in the quiet moments where you felt unseen by everyone else. I was the comfort you couldn't explain. I was the calm that interrupted panic. I was the strength that steadied your hands when they trembled under pressure. You didn't recognize me because you were searching for me in ways I chose not to appear. But that doesn't mean I wasn't near. It means I was revealing a deeper dimension of my presence, one that doesn't rely on feelings but on faith. You see, if I only revealed myself through emotion, your trust would fluctuate with your mood. But I want you anchored, rooted in the truth that I am Emmanuel, not sometimes, not on your good days, not only when you feel me. Always. You thought the silence meant absence, but it was actually intimacy in disguise. I was speaking in the stillness, pouring wisdom into your spirit that bypassed your understanding. I was guiding your steps even when your eyes couldn't see the path clearly. I didn't need to announce myself because I never left. My nearness is not based on your ability to perceive it. It's based on my covenant with you. I am the God who stays. Through confusion, through grief, through detours and disappointments, I remain. Even when your heart questioned me, I remained loyal. Even when you wandered emotionally, I remained steady. I wasn't waiting for you to feel spiritual enough to earn my attention. I've had my eyes on you since the beginning. You don't have to chase me. You don't have to beg for my attention. You have it. Always. I see the longing in your soul. The ache that wishes for something tangible, something certain. And I'm answering that ache, not with a loud display, but with the quiet assurance that I am here, fully present, fully aware, fully engaged. I know it would be easier if I showed up in the ways you expected. A clear sign, a sudden miracle, a moment of emotional intensity. But what I'm giving you now is something deeper than a temporary reassurance. I'm giving you the unshakable awareness that my presence is not performance-based. It's permanent. I'm not near just when you're strong. I'm near when you're weak, when you're questioning, when you're breaking. You've been looking for me in the fire and the wind, but I've come like a whisper, not because I'm distant, but because I'm close enough to speak softly and still be heard. I'm not watching from a distance. I'm walking every step with you. When you sat in the silence and thought I forgot, I leaned closer. When you held in your pain because you thought no one would understand, I listened to what your mouth couldn't say. And now, even in this moment, I am standing right beside you, not waiting for you to climb out of the fog, but walking through it with you. I haven't changed position. I haven't moved away. I've only moved closer. And if you quiet the voices of fear long enough, you'll sense it. That steady, gentle presence that doesn't shout but stays. That's me. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. You may have thought you stumbled into this moment by chance, maybe scrolling without direction or searching for something you couldn't quite name. But none of this is accidental. I orchestrated this encounter long before you realized you needed it. I set this appointment in motion because I saw what was coming, the pressure that's been building, the questions weighing on your mind, the quiet unraveling of your hope beneath a strong exterior. You didn't cry for help with words, but your spirit did, and I responded. I didn't wait for you to break completely before stepping in. I came while you still had just enough strength to hear me, to make a decision that would change everything. What you feel right now is not emotion. It's intervention. It's me reaching into the deepest places where things have been ignored for too long. I came to pull you out before the pressure swallowed you whole. You've been functioning well on the outside, but inside, something's been fraying. The loneliness, the weight of responsibilities, the overwhelming expectations. You've been carrying them quietly, waiting for a sign, hoping for a shift, not realizing that I've been planning your rescue all along. I didn't come with sirens or spectacle. I came with a word, because one whisper from me can do what 1,000 human efforts cannot. This isn't just encouragement. This is a lifeline. I'm not here to motivate you for another day of survival. I'm here to realign you for purpose. I'm here to interrupt the spiral before it becomes a stronghold. I'm here to silence every lie that's been speaking to your mind, convincing you you're too far gone, too stuck, too tired, too broken. You are not. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible to me. In fact, I've been watching closely, more intimately than you realize. I saw when you kept quiet to keep the peace. I saw when you gave while your own heart was running dry. I saw the pressure you didn't talk about because you didn't want to be a burden. And that's why I'm speaking now. Because your healing cannot wait. Your clarity cannot be postponed. Your destiny cannot continue in delay. I needed to interrupt your timeline with mine. You were beginning to adapt to dysfunction, to normalize exhaustion, to accept emotional numbness. And I could not let that become your identity. This message is a rescue disguised as a reminder. It's a pull away from despair, a divine hand reaching into what looks normal but is silently suffocating you. I want you to feel again, not just pain but joy. I want you to dream again, not just vague hopes but clear vision. I want you to live again, not in survival mode, but in purpose. That's why I set this moment apart. That's why your heart is responding even before your mind catches up, because your soul recognizes what your reasoning has forgotten. That I still come for the one who feels lost, even in the crowd. That I still speak directly when the world offers nothing but noise. That I still deliver healing in the form of presence, not pressure. And right now, I'm offering more than comfort. I'm offering course correction. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to carry the weight of being strong while slowly unraveling inside. I came to speak to the real you, the one beneath the role, beneath the routine, beneath the mask. And I came with no judgment, no rush, just truth. A truth that says you are not alone, you are not failing, you are not stuck, you are being pulled back into alignment. And this moment, right here, right now, is me laying a new foundation beneath your feet. One built not on exhaustion, but on grace, not on pressure, but on peace, not on proving yourself, but on walking with me. This isn't just a message. It's the lifeline your heart cried for in secret. And now that it's here, let it change you. You've been stuck inside your mind, replaying scenarios, evaluating every outcome, analyzing what went wrong and what might go wrong next. Your thoughts have been looping like a broken reel, trying to fix things that aren't even your responsibility to carry. You've tried to plan your way out of uncertainty, but all that planning has drained your peace. You weren't created to figure it all out. You were created to follow me. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. And I'm not leading you with confusion. I'm speaking with clarity. But clarity doesn't come from overanalysis. It comes from surrender. You've let fear disguise itself as wisdom, caution mask itself as discernment, and hesitation pretend to be strategy. But what I'm asking for right now isn't another round of logic. It's a leap of trust. The reason you feel overwhelmed isn't because I've complicated things. It's because you've added layers I never placed on you. You're trying to predict every detail, to control every variable, to prepare for disappointments that haven't even happened. And in doing so, you've distanced yourself from the very guidance you've been praying for. I didn't call you to carry every outcome. I called you to obey one instruction at a time. My voice isn't asking you to be perfect. It's calling you back into relationship. You've gotten used to second-guessing yourself, but it's not because you don't hear me. It's because you stopped trusting that what you hear is me. You keep looking for external validation for what I already confirmed in private. And every time you delay, trying to get one more sign, one more opinion, one more layer of proof, you dull the sensitivity of your spirit. You were once bold in your listening. You moved when I whispered. You responded even when the path wasn't fully visible. But somewhere along the way, you began trusting your own assessment more than my instruction. I want that intimacy back. The kind where my whisper is enough, where you don't need a spotlight to know I'm guiding your steps. You've asked me to show you the way, and I have. But the noise of your thoughts has turned the volume down. You've let fear become the narrator, and it's exhausting your energy before you even take action. I didn't call you to fear the future. I called you to follow the shepherd. And I am still leading, still speaking, still present. But you have to decide whose voice gets to lead your decisions, mine or your anxiety. There's no breakthrough in the place of indecision. There's no peace in the space where trust is constantly questioned. What I'm asking you to do next won't make complete sense. And that's the point. It requires faith. You built walls around your next step, hoping that if you analyze it long enough, it'll eliminate the risk. But faith was never meant to be risk-free. It was meant to be rooted in the one who never fails. I know your history has made you cautious. I know betrayal and disappointment have taught you to double-check everything. But I'm not asking you to trust people. I'm asking you to trust me. I've never misled you. Even in the seasons that didn't unfold the way you hoped, I still brought you through. I still protected you. I still carried you. And I'm not gonna fail you now. So pause the spiral, silence the assumptions, lay down the need to have every answer before you move. I'm not asking you to map the entire journey. I'm only asking you to say yes to the next right thing. And when you do, when you trust me more than your thoughts, you will see that I've already made a way. You're not waiting on clarity. Clarity is waiting on your obedience. And I promise, when you take that step with me, even if it's small, you'll look back and realize it wasn't just a step. It was the beginning of the breakthrough your heart has been waiting for. I've seen how subtly it started. The thoughts that crept in without warning, whispering that you don't measure up, that you're falling behind, that you'll never be as good, as strong, as wise, as worthy as what others seem to be. Those lies didn't come loudly at first. They disguised themselves as your own doubts, as passing thoughts, as casual comparisons. But over time, they've built a narrative inside your mind, one that tries to drown out truth and replace it with distortion. And now, you question whether you belong, whether your voice matters, whether your presence carries weight. You keep showing up, but not fully convinced that you're valuable. You're doing all you can to keep moving forward, but inside you feel like an imposter waiting to be exposed. And I need to confront that voice right now, not with another motivational phrase, but with truth that cuts deeper than deception. That voice does not come from me. I don't speak in shame. I don't lead with guilt. I don't motivate through fear. That internal echo that keeps reminding you of your mistakes, your flaws, your missed chances. It's not the sound of conviction. It's the residue of past battles you thought you had escaped. You see, the enemy knows he can't remove my purpose from your life. So instead, he tries to convince you that you're not qualified to carry it. He doesn't need to destroy you if he can get you to disqualify yourself. And that's exactly what you've been tempted to do. To shrink, to hide, to silence your gifts, to downplay your worth. But let me remind you of something sacred. You were never chosen because of your perfection. You were chosen because I saw the purity of your desire, even in the midst of your imperfection. I didn't wait for you to be polished before I called you. I chose you, knowing the process it would take to prepare you. I factored in your humanity, and I still said, that one is mine. You don't have to prove yourself to me. You don't have to earn your place. I'm not comparing you to anyone else. I'm calling you into alignment with who I created you to be. Before the world had a chance to shape your self-image, you've let insecurity anchor itself in your spirit. And it's been draining your confidence, draining your energy, draining your passion. But I didn't create you to walk with your head down and your heart unsure. I created you to move in quiet strength, to rise with courage even in uncertainty, to speak with clarity born not from performance, but from intimacy with me. You are more than what you fear. You are more than what you lack. You are more than the labels others tried to attach to your life. And right now, I need you to see yourself through my eyes, the eyes of the one who formed you. You were handcrafted, not mass-produced. You were assigned, not overlooked. You were appointed, not random. Everything about you, the way your heart feels deeply, the way your mind sees possibility, the way your spirit gets stirred when injustice speaks, it's all intentional. There's nothing accidental about your design. But as long as you allow the lie of not enough to stay rooted, you'll walk in hesitation when I've called you to walk in boldness. It's time to uproot that voice. Not with effort, but with truth. The truth is, you are enough because I am in you, and I lack nothing. So when you walk into rooms where you feel out of place, remember that I walk with you. When you're tempted to disqualify yourself before anyone else does, remember that I already qualified you before they ever had a chance to speak. This is the moment to shut down every narrative that doesn't align with my word over your life. You are not a mistake. You are not too late. You are not too small. You are mine, fully known, fully loved, fully seen, and that's more than enough. What you've been walking through may have felt like a consequence, like a response to something you did wrong, like life handing you disappointment in return for your effort. But I need you to know that this is not retribution. This is refinement. I haven't been withholding joy or success or peace from you as some kind of sentence. I've been shaping you through seasons of stretching so that when the door opens, your character is strong enough to carry the blessing. You've been looking at the pressure as a sign that something is broken, but it's actually proof that something powerful is forming. I don't waste pain. I don't allow suffering just to watch you struggle. Everything I permit in your life has purpose behind it. And even what you can't yet understand is building something eternal. This process, as painful as it's been, is about strengthening your inner life, not punishing your past decisions. You haven't lost my favor. You're not under wrath. You're under preparation. Preparation for influence that won't collapse under pride. Preparation for opportunities that won't lead to compromise. Preparation for blessings that will serve others and not just satisfy your own need. And preparation often looks like resistance, like silence, like not yet. But just as a tree grows its deepest roots in the driest seasons, your foundation is being fortified in these hidden days. I've been carving away what doesn't belong, not to harm you, but to make room for what's about to arrive. I've removed people, situations, options, not because I was stripping you down, but because I was clearing the clutter. You asked for more, but you didn't know what more would demand from your soul. You prayed for growth, not realizing that growth requires pruning. You asked for elevation, not realizing that rising without anchoring leads to collapse. So I answered your prayers, not with immediate release, but with deep process. And I know it's been confusing. I know you've questioned why others seem to move forward while you feel stuck in place. But don't let appearance fool you. What looks like delay is divine investment. What seems like stagnation is sacred stillness, where I'm building depth, patience, resilience, endurance. These are not light things. These are the very traits that sustain people when applause fades, when storms come, when choices must be made with integrity. I'm not getting you ready for a moment. I'm getting you ready for legacy. That's why you've been stretched. That's why discomfort was allowed. That's why I was quiet at times. Not to pull away from you, but to sharpen your discernment, to train your sensitivity, to teach you how to move by trust instead of by what you can see. You haven't failed. You've been refined. You're not behind. You're being built. What looked like loss is going to be revealed as gain. The tears, the endurance, the crushing, those have been producing real weight in your life, a depth that comfort could never create, a strength no cheap peace could give. I'm shaping you into a vessel that can carry power without pride, influence without compromise, purpose without burnout. You're not being punished, you're being called higher. Sometimes that climb feels like isolation. Sometimes the training ground is hidden, but what I form in secret, I reveal in perfect time. And when I do, it will make sense, not because the pain vanishes, but because you'll see what it produced. You'll know nothing was wasted, that delays were construction, that no was protection, that trials were preparation for a release bigger than what you thought you were waiting for. Don't dread this season. Discern it. Once you see what I'm doing, you won't curse the process. You'll lean into it. And when the time comes, you'll walk out not bitter, but built. Not empty, but equipped. It will be clear that what looked like a setback was sacred preparation and progress. There's a part of your story you try to rush past. A wound that still aches when you brush it. The betrayal you never saw coming. The failure that broke more than your plans. The season where your heart shattered into pieces you didn't know how to hold. You tried to bury it and hoped time would erase it. I never ignored that part of you. I was there when it happened. I was present when trust was broken. I was near when the news left you speechless. I never turned away from your pain. I stepped into it with you. Now hear me clearly. That very pain, the one you thought disqualified you, is what I'm lifting you through. I don't waste scars. I don't overlook cracks. I work through them. The places that broke you are becoming the platforms I'll use to pour healing, wisdom, and insight into others. You see disfigurement, I see design. You gained eyes that see deeper, ears that hear clearer, and a heart that carries empathy you can't fake. That wound softened you in ways pride never could. It taught you to listen differently, to discern more sharply, to value what the world overlooks. While others chased recognition, you were in the furnace learning endurance. You learned how to depend on me when nothing made sense. You developed spiritual muscle, the kind that never comes from ease but from pressing. I'm not asking you to relive the pain, I'm asking you to recognize its purpose. You survived what tried to break you. You healed in places you thought would never be whole. That's not random. That's my hand in your race. I'm turning what felt like a setback into a signal. Your story is not over. It's shifting. The area that once brought tears will birth testimony. I'm not minimizing what happened. I'm magnifying what I'm about to do with it. Your deepest pain is becoming a doorway for someone else's deliverance. What almost broke you will unlock breakthrough for others. Not because it was good, but because I am good, and I redeem everything surrendered to me. You don't have to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not asking you to cover it up. I'm asking you to be a vessel. There's a reason you made it through while others didn't. There's a reason you held on when quitting screamed your name. It's the oil on your life, oil that didn't come from talent or skill. It came from crushing, from empty nights, from prayers whispered through tears, from silence you endured with faith. You thought it was survival. I was shaping legacy. Now I'm positioning you for release. I'm opening doors not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. I saw your faith in the fire, and now the fire becomes fuel. This next season isn't about proving yourself. It's about walking in the power your pain forged. You're not stepping out as a victim. You're stepping forward as a vessel, cleansed, healed, filled with the authority of experience. When you speak, chains will break. When you move, atmospheres will shift, not because you're perfect, but because you praise through the valley. You believed through loss, you worshiped through grief. That's what I'm building on. That's what I'm elevating. Don't despise the place that hurt you. It's the very ground I'm raising you from. Distance formed, not because I stepped away, but because you built walls around your pain. You hoped those walls would protect you, but they isolated you. Now you walk with a heavy heart, tangled thoughts and emotions tucked deep so you can make it through the day. You told yourself, I'll be fine. So often you forgot what peace feels like. You numbed yourself just enough to function, to smile, to get through conversations without unraveling. I know better. I see behind your quiet. I hear the tension in your silence. I feel the weight on your soul, the part you've hidden from yourself. You've survived in a shell, hoping no one notices the fracture. You convinced yourself I wouldn't understand, or worse, that I wouldn't respond. That's why I'm stepping in. I can't let you live cut off from the comfort your soul needs. You weren't made to suffer in silence. You were made to abide, lean, speak, and release pain into arms that never get tired of holding you. You've whispered prayers without expectation, afraid to believe, afraid to be disappointed again. I never stopped listening. I didn't tune out your unspoken groans. I heard the cry behind your stillness. I saw the way you avoid certain memories, the way your energy vanishes when no one is watching. I waited, not to ignore you, but to give you time to come out of hiding. Now I won't wait. You've carried too much alone. The silence that felt safe has become a prison. I didn't create you to live locked up by your pain. I created you to walk in truth, breathe in freedom, and rest in me. I'm not afraid of your honesty. I don't flinch at your frustration. I won't pull away when your words are messy. You don't need perfect language. You just need to open the door. I'll come in. I'll sit with you. I'll speak where lies have echoed too long. Let me close again. I know you've been let down. You've shared your story and felt exposed, dismissed, misunderstood. Now you guard yourself from others and from me. I am not like them. I won't mishandle what you bring. I won't shame your feelings or minimize your battles. I'm the safest place to release what's breaking you. Even if your voice shakes, even if tears fall before words, I'll be listening. I'll be healing. The silence between us was supposed to be a pause, not a pattern. This moment ends the silence. I'm not asking for polished phrases. I'm asking for your presence. The courage to be real again, to say what you stopped saying, to trust me with what you buried. You never had to do this alone. I'm reaching through the quiet to restore connection. This is a new dialogue, constant, daily, breath by breath. I want to be involved again, not just in pain, but in healing. I'm ready to speak where there's been silence, to rebuild where you thought it was too broken. Talk to me. Not later, not tomorrow. Now. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm ready to respond. You've been consistent where applause never came. You showed up for people who never thanked you. You sacrificed energy when no one noticed. You stood in faith when the ground felt shaky. You didn't do it for praise. You did it because it was right. I noticed when others overlooked you. I watched every act of quiet obedience. I counted every time you chose integrity over convenience. Every time you stayed when leaving was easier. Every time you held your tongue while your heart was breaking. Your faithfulness wasn't wasted. Heaven noticed. You honored me with nothing to gain and everything to lose. That separates you. While others chased crowds, you chased my presence. While others sought platforms, you sought purpose. While some waited for comfort, you said yes in discomfort. It cost you misunderstandings, isolation, heartbreak. But it positioned you for something rare. Favor birthed through fire. You didn't give me fragments. You gave me all, even when weary. Your loyalty has not gone unnoticed and won't go unrewarded. I stored every unseen moment like treasure, not to make you earn my love, but because I delight to honor those who honor me in secret. I saw the nights you prayed for others. The days you gave kindness to those who criticized you, the times you gave when you barely had enough. You served not because you had to, but because your heart mirrors mine. You proved yourself through perseverance, not perfection. Now I'll show you how deeply I value that kind of heart. The world rewards performance. I reward the heart. Yours has been steadfast. Not without tears, not without doubt, but steadfast. You walked with me when nothing made sense. You lifted your eyes when you were tired. You believed I was good. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. That loyalty can't be faked. It's refined in silence and surrender. Your season of sowing in secret is moving into harvest, not because you demanded it, but because you stayed rooted. You didn't curse me when it was hard, you leaned deeper. Now I'm pouring back blessing, clarity, strength, and joy that cannot be shaken. I will place you in rooms where favor speaks before you do, not to elevate your name, but to glorify mine through your testimony. Your loyalty wasn't a waste, it was the foundation of legacy. I'll use your story to inspire others to stay faithful when they feel forgotten. You carried endurance with quiet dignity. Now I crown it with open favor. You didn't need validation to stay loyal. That's why I'm validating you myself. Not with a flash of attention, but with lasting alignment. The world may have missed it, I didn't. I'm ready to honor it in ways only I can. You've lost more than you've shared. Pieces of yourself, dimmed dreams, strained relationships, time you can't recover, energy drained by steady disappointments. It felt like every step forward met a setback. I kept track, not just of what was taken, but how you responded. You didn't grow bitter when betrayal stung. You didn't give up when the weight felt unbearable. You pressed on, maybe not with strength, but with faith. That faith is why this season is shifting. I'm not healing the surface. I'm reaching into the deepest layer of what was robbed and restoring it, not to what it was, but to what it should have become. My restoration doesn't return you to the past, it elevates you beyond it. I'm not patching up old dreams, I'm releasing new ones with foundations tested by fire. The enemy tried to silence you with loss, weariness, delay. He didn't expect that I'd use every stolen moment as seed for a harvest he can't touch. You might not see it yet, but restoration has begun. It's in doors reopening without your effort, opportunities appearing where rejection lived, inner strength rising where confusion ruled. I'm reviving the confidence that felt shattered. I'm restoring the hope that used to live in your voice. What the enemy shattered, I'm remaking in glory, not slowly only, but also suddenly. Don't measure what's next by how long the pain lasted. I don't move by loss, I move in fullness. When I restore, I multiply. I bring back joy stronger than before. I breathe new life into places you thought were gone. Where the enemy put a period, I'm writing the rest of the sentence. Every stolen moment, every stripped joy, every hijacked opportunity, I saw it all. I didn't ignore the theft. I prepared the comeback, and it has begun. What felt barren will bear fruit. What seemed forgotten will overflow. I'm breathing revival into dead places, around you and in you. You learned to function without peace. I'm returning wholeness. You accepted losses as permanent. I'm rewriting what's possible. Restoration isn't for later, it's for now. You'll feel it in peace returning before the breakthrough appears, in clarity settle in your thoughts, in favor surrounding your steps. You won't strive to earn it. This isn't compensation, this is inheritance. You endured, you remained. Now I respond, not because you demanded it, but because your posture aligned with heaven. I restore to the faithful. I pour into the surrendered. I release double to those who didn't turn back when it fell apart. Get ready. What you thought was gone is being reimagined by my hand. The tables are turning. What mocked your hope will witness your elevation. I restore in fullness, in favor, in ways that bring me glory and give you healing. Don't be surprised when it happens quickly. You waited long. I move swiftly. Now is the moment I chose to bring it back, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. There is a weight you've carried that I never asked you to hold. Regret dressed up as responsibility. You replay moments you'd change, words you'd take back, choices you wish were different. Your mind keeps hitting rewind, stealing joy and stifling peace. You've smiled on the outside while believing you were being punished by your past. I didn't call you to live in a courtroom of shame. I called you to freedom. The script you carry. I should have known better. I messed up too badly. I don't deserve this. Isn't truth, it's bondage. You repented, you learned, you wept. But instead of receiving mercy, you built a prison from what you were meant to leave. Guilt has become a thief, telling you that every good thing must be temporary. I don't love conditionally. I don't bless based on flawless history. I see a heart that wants to make things right, that never meant to cause pain, that would fix it all if possible. That's why I covered it. That's why I nailed it to a cross you will never have to climb. I didn't overlook your failure. I overcame it. I didn't pretend it didn't matter. I transformed its meaning. You're not stained. You're redeemed. The enemy has tried to weaponize your past. I already disarmed it. When you let guilt speak louder than grace, you turn down my voice. Hear me. You are not defined by your lowest moment. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not disqualified or unwanted. You are cleansed. You are chosen. You are mine. I'm not holding your past against you. You are. Release it before it steals more of your future. You've grown because of what you went through. You're wiser, softer, more aware. That season broke things off you that nothing else could. Don't mourn who you were. Celebrate who you're becoming. I don't expect perfection. I expect honesty. And you've been honest and humble and willing to grow. Now let go. Not because the memory disappears, but because it no longer controls you. You can't receive what I'm placing in your hands with arms wrapped around shame. Freedom was purchased for you. Don't live like a prisoner when the door is open. Walk out of guilt. Step into the light of my love. Let the weight fall off your mind. You don't owe me penance. You owe me trust. Trust that forgiven means forgiven. Trust that I'm not keeping score. Trust that the cross is complete, not partial. This isn't punishment. This is permission to begin again. Fully, freely, without the echo of not enough. You punished yourself long enough. Now let me restore you with truth. You are not who you were, and you never will be again. You've held tightly to people, places, opportunities, identities, afraid that letting go would break you or make you miss your only chance at peace. Your hands clenched around what once felt safe. Fear disguised itself as wisdom and whispered that if you release the familiar, you'll end up empty. You're not protecting your future by clinging to the past. You're delaying what I'm ready to place in your hands. Your security was never meant to come from what you can manage. It comes from trusting what I'm building beyond your sight. You've sensed shifts, people pulling away, doors closing, and you scrambled to hold it all together. Not everything leaving is being stolen. Some things are being cleared with precision, not as punishment, but as preparation. I don't remove to diminish, I remove to make room for what's better, deeper, stronger, more aligned with your next season. You mistook transition for tragedy, but transition, though uncomfortable, is holy. It's the hallway between what you knew and what I destined. I'm not asking you to leap blindly. I'm asking you to trust the process. If you saw what I'm orchestrating, you wouldn't mourn what's sliding away. You'd rejoice. I'm replacing false stability with substance. I'm removing attachments that drained you. I'm shifting your circles so you can breathe and stop shrinking to fit. I'm opening paths where peace is not a price you pay for success. Some shifts will feel like loss because you gave your heart to what was only meant to be temporary. But once you see what I planned, you'll understand. What you feared losing was never meant to define you, only to develop you. Now that it's done its work, release it. You prayed for blessing and clarity. Some answers require empty hands. You can't receive with fists full of what you've outgrown. You can't carry new assignments weighed down by old alignments. I'm not giving just more. I'm giving different. Provision that includes peace. Relationships that call out the best in you. Joy that isn't tied to circumstance but flows from alignment with me. Don't fear what's leaving. Don't let grief be louder than grace. I'm not subtracting your value, I'm multiplying your impact. I'm not removing your identity, I'm refining it. There are doors you prayed for, and I said yes. Before you enter, I must strip what cannot cross with you. What you're afraid to lose, I've already accounted for. What you think you can't live without, I've already replaced with better. I love you too much to let you settle. Trust me in the unwrapping and releasing. When your hands open, what I place in them will be more than you imagined. Not more in amount, but more in depth, peace, and lasting beauty. You're not stepping into lack. You're stepping into abundance, the kind that starts with surrender and ends in glory. Your life has been speaking even in silence. People have watched your resilience and your response to seasons that crush others. You didn't ask for a spotlight, but you stood faithful under one. Some waited for you to fail, thinking your past disqualified your rise. Others were quietly inspired, and some I assigned as witnesses to what I'm about to do. This next move is not just about your healing or breakthrough. It's a statement. Those who trust me will not be put to shame. I'm going to make an example of my goodness through your life. Not to elevate you above others, but to show that I never abandon those who stay close while they bleed. Your comeback won't be loud at first. It will begin as quiet strength, as doors opening that no one expected, as favor that flows without explanation, as solutions arriving faster than your fears. Those who watched will see you were never down because you were defeated. You were hidden while I refined you. The pressure didn't break you. It prepared you for public redemption. I watched you hold back tears and still show up. I saw you face rejection without losing compassion. I noticed you kept your values while shortcuts promised quick results. Now I'm watering the seeds you planted in pain. Your character proved itself in silence. Now I reward you in sight. Those who misunderstood your silence will recognize your strength. Those who laughed at your loss will stand amazed at what I place in your hands. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove myself faithful. You didn't retaliate. You didn't shrink. You didn't quit. That's why this turnaround will carry weight and ripple beyond your life. The way you return to rooms that once rejected you won't carry arrogance. It will carry grace. You won't have to announce your healing. It will be obvious. You won't have to explain your blessing. It will speak. It won't just impact you. It will reach everyone connected to your name. Generations will benefit because you refuse to give up. For those who watched you fall, I'll use your elevation to teach mercy, not to shame them. but to show how I vindicate those planted in me. I haven't forgotten what was said about you or the rooms where you were dismissed. I'm letting your fruit do the talking. The proof is coming, and it won't be subtle. This comeback won't return you to where you were. It will raise you higher than you've been. New levels, fresh vision, deeper peace. You're not reclaiming what was lost. You're entering what could only exist because of what you endured. You won't have to force it. Stay aligned. Keep your heart pure. Keep your hands open. I'm doing the heavy lifting. I'm arranging the unveiling. Every eye that needs to witness your rise is being positioned. Don't fear attention. This isn't about fame. It's about fulfillment. I'm showing what it looks like when I lift the ones who keep believing in the dark. You gave up hope in that area because it felt final. You knocked, you waited, you prayed. Nothing moved, so you assumed the answer was no. You buried the dream without bitterness, trying to make peace with maybe it wasn't for me. I never denied you. I delayed it for your protection. Behind that door were things not ready yet. You couldn't see them. I could. I wasn't punishing you. I was perfecting the timing. While you grieved the silence, I worked. I didn't forget your request or abandon your desire. I prepared everything on both sides of the threshold. Now it's time. I'm not just unlocking what was closed, I'm rebuilding the doorway. When you walk through, it won't look like the past. You're not returning to a missed chance. You're entering a redesigned promise. Wider grace, stronger provision, unexpected beauty. I'm not handing back what was taken in the same shape. I'm returning it refined by my wisdom and aligned with your growth. You were ready, but the promise wasn't. So I placed a holy pause. Time refined your surroundings and your soul. The person who waited with anxious hope isn't until the same person who will walk with quiet confidence. You changed, you grew. Now the other side matches what I cultivated in you. You wondered if you missed me or asked outside my will. I didn't say no, I said not yet. I shut the door to guard what's sacred. Because you trusted me even when it hurt, I'm rewarding that faith with access at the appointed time. You won't push or force your way in. I'm swinging it wide. When you cross over, you'll understand the weight. What's waiting is more than you prayed for. It's what you would have asked if you knew what I know. I saw the danger of too soon, the burden of premature success, the instability of weak foundations. Because I love you, I wouldn't let you walk into what wasn't worthy of you yet. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Now you're ready, and the door is ready. Nothing will delay you. No sabotage, no insecurity, no misalignment. I've cleared the way. You're not going back into something. You're walking into fulfillment. This opening is strategic. It leads to rooms where your name has already been planted, to platforms you didn't chase, to favor that fits without distortion. You won't have to shrink to be accepted. This door was measured to your stature, molded to your character, timed by design. As you step through, I go with you. I'll shield you from distraction, open what you're meant to enter, and close what once drained you. You won't look over your shoulder. You won't fear it slipping away. This door isn't just open. It's secured by my promise. Inside, you'll see what I've been doing all along. I wasn't taking it from you. I was preparing it for you. Now it's yours. Walk with confidence in my timing and purpose. I know the pressure you felt, the whisper that you're behind, that you missed your window. that others passed you while you stood still. Your timeline has been disrupted so many times it feels like you live in delay. Let that go. The clock you're watching isn't mine. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not disqualified because things didn't follow your plan. My timing isn't rushed. It's sovereign. I don't push purpose, I prepare it. I don't measure by calendars or compare you to others. I work from eternity. When I look at you, I see alignment, not missed opportunity. What you call waiting has been development. What you labeled slow has been sacred. I've been weaving things into your foundation that cannot be rushed. You've seen quick rises, you haven't seen what happens without depth. I anchored you deeper so you can stand taller. When your moment comes, you won't crumble under it. Time isn't slipping away. It's catching up to the you who can carry what you dreamed. I've been protecting your process, not prolonging your pain. Delays and stalls weren't setbacks. They were pauses full of unseen movement. While you waited for change outside, I was transforming the inside. While you stared at closed doors, I was building new ones. While you mourned what didn't happen, I redirected you to what will. When it happens, and it will, you'll look back and see the pace protected your peace, guarded your heart, built your endurance. You're not a statistic, you're a story I'm writing. Good stories aren't rushed. There's power in the pacing. There's beauty in the rhythm over your life. I know you've questioned if anything will shift. I haven't forgotten what I spoke. My word doesn't expire. My promises don't wither. What I said still stands, and it's closer than you think. Stop disqualifying yourself by age, years, failed attempts, or time frames I never gave you. You're not running out of time. You're being synchronized with purpose. I'm aligning people, places, and circumstances you can't see yet. Just because it isn't visible doesn't mean it isn't complete. I specialize in sudden shifts that look overnight but were years in the making. When it unfolds, it won't feel rushed or random. It will feel right on time. You'll breathe and say, "Now I understand." Until then, trust the pace. Trust the pauses. I haven't lost you in the crowd. I'm not saving you for last. I'm setting you apart. What I reveal won't just be worth the wait. It will redeem the wait. Every minute, every tear, every question. Don't panic over the clock. I hold time. I hold you. I have never been late. You've prayed for solutions and signs, the breakthrough, the open door, the changed circumstance. I see it all. But what I'm doing reaches deeper than results. I'm healing where your wounds hid. I'm repairing what's breaking inside. This isn't only about restoration around you. It's about transformation within you. You learn to function while hurting, to smile through heaviness, to perform under pressure. You told yourself if things outside changed, your heart would too. I want more for you than relief. I want wholeness. I see the parts that still flinch from old disappointments, the guarded places, the way you brace for hurt even in joy. I'm interrupting that cycle. I'm restoring your capacity to feel, hope, and believe without fear. I'm healing the bruises you buried under busy days, the quiet fears formed when you felt abandoned or overlooked. I'm rewriting what those moments tried to teach you. You are not too much. You're not hard to love. You're not too broken to be whole. You are worthy of gentleness, restoration, and fresh beginnings without attached pain. I'm not asking you to push through. I'm asking you to let me into the ache for deep repair. This healing won't always be dramatic. Sometimes it's the breath you didn't know you held finally released. Sometimes it's sleeping without anxiety. Sometimes it's laughing without guilt or walking into rooms without shrinking. I'm giving back the parts that were silenced when life felt cruel. The wonder, the innocence, the lightness. I know trust is hard. Healing sounds beautiful but feels scary. I will not harm you. I won't force what your heart can't carry. I'll walk gently, step by step into wholeness that rebuilds from the inside out. You don't have to rush. You don't have to pretend you're okay. Stay open, stay close. Let my presence soften the scar around your joy. You prayed for change around you, and it will come. But the greater miracle is what I'm doing in you. I'm healing how you see yourself. I'm restoring your ability to trust me without fear of letdown. I'm rebuilding your relationship with peace so you carry it, not chase it. This isn't about fixing a problem. It's about giving you a healed heart that no longer hardens to stay safe. I'm healing places you didn't know hurt. When the situation shifts, and it will, you'll realize the biggest change wasn't the circumstance. It was you, free and at rest in me. You stood at an edge and thought it was over. The dream, the chance, the part of you that hoped for more. The doors shut hard. The silence lasted long. The pain cut deep. You grieved what was lost and what never began. You decided, maybe this is the end. I was never writing that ending. That moment you called failure was set up. The ground you called a grave is a foundation for something new, built on clarity, conviction, and identity that doesn't shake. You thought the loss disqualified you. It removed what didn't belong so purpose could rise without pretending. I let what you leaned on break, not to harm you, but to free you. You tied your worth to what was never meant to sustain you. Relationships, achievements, approval. So I let those walls fall and started building something real. In what you called after, I breathed something fresh. It's never too late to start with me. Every ending you surrender becomes fertile ground. I know the memory of what fell apart lingers. I'm not asking you to forget it. I'm asking you to see it right. That failure was a filter, that heartbreak a redirection, that disappointment a divine intervention. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, deeper awareness, tested faith, refined desire. You don't want what you used to want, and that's growth. You were emptied not to stay empty, but to be filled with purpose, no longer shaped by approval. What's being born now has substance. You won't be driven by desperation, but by calling. That shift will sustain you when it's hard again. This new beginning won't come wrapped in panic. It will come in obedience and peace. You won't need to force doors. What's meant will align with calm, not fear. Lift your head. The end was an interruption. I cleared the page so I could write what you never expected but always needed. Your beginning wasn't lost. It was delayed until your foundation could hold it. And now the time has come. You felt stretched beyond normal capacity. Battles that felt small now feel heavy. The air around you feels thick, even as you walk closer with me. Nothing is wrong. Something holy is breaking through. Pressure hasn't come to destroy you. It's preparing you for release. You've carried something sacred, planted before you could name it, growing in silence beneath the surface. Pressure isn't a sign of breakdown. It's the signal that birth is near. You're not under attack. You're on the edge of release. What I'm bringing through you requires every distraction, false identity, and extra weight to be stripped away. That's why the shaking increased. That's why you feel exposed. You're in a holy labor. Contractions don't prove failure. They prove fulfillment is near. What's forming isn't small, ordinary, or recycled. It's unique, heaven-born, with impact beyond your sight. For it to come forth, comforts had to be removed. Stretching had to be felt. Ease would have hidden what I placed in you. Pressure reveals potential. You've reached a point where the old shell can't hold your calling. That's why your routine doesn't satisfy and old rooms feel tight. Your spirit outgrew your level. Now it's time to break through. You don't need to force it or panic. I'm orchestrating this release. Surrender is your part. Don't numb the stretch. Let it work. Let it wash out fears that would sabotage your future and doubts that would dilute your influence. You're not breaking, you're opening. And when release comes, it won't be chaotic. It will be pure and unstoppable. What I release through you isn't only for you, it's for others waiting for your voice, your story, your light. I didn't allow this intensity to make you question me. I used it to bring you closer. So you'd stop relying on your strength, chasing approval, or shrinking to stay safe. In this refining, I've shaped you to carry the weight of what's next without collapse. You won't be the same, and you aren't meant to be. What's coming will redefine how you see yourself and how others see me through you. It feels heavy now, but the pressure has purpose. You're being positioned and aligned. Soon, others will witness what I already see, the fullness of the gift I placed in you. There were moments when my silence felt unbearable. Your prayers echoed back. Days passed. Heaven seemed quiet. You searched for signs and whispers to reassure your heart that I was listening, moving, near. When it didn't happen your way, you wondered if I stepped away. I was never gone. My presence was closer than your breath, woven into every heartbeat and tear. You mistook silence for distance. I was working in the invisible, where eyes can't reach and timelines can't rule. I was rearranging the path in ways that needed your stillness. I guarded your future by withholding what would have arrived as a burden if it came too soon. My silence wasn't punishment. It protected the promise. Details were being finalized behind your discomfort. I rerouted conversations, softened hearts, unlocked favor, disarmed the enemy, while you sat in quiet thinking nothing was happening. Silence wasn't a void. It was a sign of sacred work that needed no noise, only trust. I know trust was stretched. Silence tempted you to write your own story, to assume you were punished, forgotten, bypassed. I allowed the quiet to pull your faith out of shallow water and to teach you to stand when feelings said otherwise. Silence is not lack of activity. It's often evidence of something wholly happening deep. The silence is breaking. Before it does, look at who stood through it. You're stronger. Your faith doesn't rest on feelings, but on truth. That foundation can carry what's next. When doors open, you won't be carried by excitement, but anchored by wisdom. That wisdom was born in stillness. Your discernment was refined in quiet. Your clarity came from proximity, sitting in what felt empty and finding I was your fullness. What's emerging won't require striving. It will come by alignment. You'll see why answers didn't come earlier. You'll know I prepared an answer that doesn't need explanation, only worship. You're about to see how I make up for lost time, how I accelerate what seemed delayed. I couldn't let you step into acceleration without endurance, or carry public blessing without private strength. With nothing left to prove or earn, you're ready. My silence is strategy and care. Even when I'm quiet, I'm with you, especially then. What I prepared isn't just coming, it has begun. Silence was a signal, not a sentence. Now get ready to hear what silence made room for. Those moments no one noticed, the heavy heart behind the quiet voice, the smile you wore while you broke, the days you carried questions you couldn't speak. I saw everyone. Not a tear was wasted. I gathered each like treasure, not to remind you of sorrow, but to honor what you carried when no one could see. In those hidden places, I drew near. I was with you when you whispered prayers in the dark. I was with you when you held it together in front of others and fell apart alone. Even when it looked like nothing changed, I kept record, not for punishment, but for promise. Now the things that made you weep in silence are becoming the testimony that stuns. I'm bringing what was hidden in sorrow into light with glory. It won't be small. It will be unmistakably my hand. Promotion, healing, open doors, sudden restoration. It's not random. It's tied to every unseen act of faith, every secret obedience, every quiet surrender when you wanted to quit. Others will call it sudden. You'll know it was forged in private battles, long nights, and deep trust when all else went silent. This is not a reward. It's a revealing, a divine unveiling of what's been growing in you all along. The fruit of endurance, the strength of faith, the beauty of a heart that believed with nothing visible to hold. This revealing will awaken others. People who assumed your silence meant defeat will see what I release and feel chains break in their own hearts. Your testimony will carry power, not for its volume, but for its truth. They'll know this kind of favor can't be faked, this timing can't be staged, this peace can't be performed. When they ask how, you won't need a long answer. You'll point to me. I'm making it clear. Your story isn't about perfection. It's about presence. You stayed. You trusted. You waited when it hurt. Now you'll see that I saw it all. This revealing isn't payback. It's fulfillment. Every word I whispered when no one believed. It will overwhelm you at first. You learned to live without. You lowered expectations to guard your heart. I'm removing those limits. I'm teaching you to receive without guilt, to walk in blessing without fear, to embrace joy without waiting for it to be stolen. This is your moment, not because you earned it, but because you endured. Endurance has birthed something eternal. When doors open, favor flows, and promises manifest, remember it was always coming. Every tear watered a future that couldn't be rushed. That future is here. Step into it without apology. What I reveal isn't just what I did for you, it's who I've made you to be. You walked into rooms where you weren't seen. You gave your best and stood on sidelines while others got the invite, the platform, the recognition. With each closed door, you wondered if you were meant to be seen at all. Hear me. Their dismissal didn't cancel my appointment. Their overlook isn't bigger than my purpose in you. Their failure to notice never altered my plan to lift you. I used their rejection as redirection, not to shrink you, but to free you from false validation. While they watched appearances, I worked on something eternal in you. I prepared your spirit to carry what's next. I didn't need them to see you, I needed you to see me. As you trusted my voice over applause and my presence over acceptance, you stepped into alignment, not with popularity, but with purpose. You don't need a crowd to confirm your calling. What I placed in you can't be buried by opinions. Now I'm setting the stage. Not a pedestal of pride, but a position of purpose. The fullness of what you carried in silence will shift the atmosphere. Those who saw you as background will witness my hand raising you. You won't rise with spite, you'll rise with humility. You'll remember the shadows and the hidden years. The stage didn't make you, I did. Your elevation is not to prove a point, it's to fulfill one. My promise through your life. You don't need revenge through success. You don't need to show them. I will. When it happens, there won't be confusion about how. It won't be networking, manipulation, or performance. It will be fruit from obedience, patience, and walking with me when the world looked away. This isn't about titles or followers. It's about impact, healing, restoration, and a presence that reflects heaven. You weren't overlooked because you lacked. You were hidden on purpose, covered until motives were purified, calling was clear, and foundations could hold favor. Now you're ready, and so is the place I'm sending you. I've softened hearts that once dismissed you. I've created gaps where your voice fits. When I position you, you won't force your way in. Doors will open because I ordained them. Stop mourning unseen seasons. Stop asking what you did wrong. You weren't forgotten. You were protected, reserved, and set apart. The unveiling begins, not for your ego, but for your assignment. What I release through you will awaken others to theirs. This isn't the start of your worth. It's when the world begins to see what I've always known. You've looked back and thought you missed it. Wrong timing, wrong choice, wrong step. You replayed conversations and decisions, searching for where you failed. Hear me. Nothing was lost. Nothing was wasted. You didn't miss the moment or ruin your chance. What felt like a missed door was my hand holding it shut, not to punish, but to preserve. The yes you've asked for is about alignment, not just timing. Your heart was ready, the environment wasn't. Pieces were still shifting, hearts softening, details arranging, obstacles clearing, things you couldn't see and didn't need to. I wouldn't let you step into something early and carry the weight of keeping it alive without my full backing. So I slowed it down, I paused, I delayed, so when it comes, it won't just show up, it will fit. It won't be a shaky yes, it will be the right yes, with peace not pressure, clarity not confusion, grace not striving. You've grown since it almost happened. You matured in silence. You surrendered your timeline. You let me stretch your faith instead of taking shortcuts. Because of that, what's next won't feel rushed. It will feel like it always belonged because it did. Delay isn't denial. Delay tests trust, removes idols of urgency, and refines desires, so they're rooted in my will, not fear of falling behind. You don't need to compete or compare. You are right on schedule for the divine collision I appointed. Even now, while you feel still, things are moving. Assignments are shifting. People are moving into place. Circumstances are being rerouted. Not because you begged enough, but because I finish what I start. I saw the tears when you wondered if it was your fault. I felt the ache when others received what you prayed for. I wasn't ignoring you. I was crafting something that fits you, not just fills time. When the door swings wide and you walk into what bears your name, you'll understand the weight. Early blessings can feel like burdens. What's coming will feel like home. It won't drain you, it will restore you. It won't require you to shrink, it will honor your growth. This delay has been a cocoon. You won't emerge as who you were, but as who I always knew you'd be. Stop mourning what you think you missed. Stop doubting your discernment. I led you the whole way. Every not yet set you up for something tailored. Now, as it unfolds, step in without fear, guilt, or apology. It's yours. It always was. And it's right on time. You thought certain people would walk with you into the promise. Those you held close, trusted deeply, dreamed with. The wilderness came. They were distant in your struggle, silent when you needed covering, judging when you needed grace. It fractured your heart. You blamed yourself and tried to fix what wasn't yours to carry. Hear this. Their exit was necessary, not because you weren't worthy of loyalty, but because they weren't aligned with the assignment over your life. I saw what you couldn't. The conversations when you weren't there. The quiet resentment. the envy behind polite words. I wouldn't let that travel with you. Elevation requires separation, not as punishment, but as preparation. The path I carved is marked by purity, weight, and destiny. Not everyone wants that depth. Some were comfortable with your brokenness, but threatened by your healing. Some loved the version of you that needed them, but couldn't handle the one I raised to lead. So I allowed distance. I permitted silence. I closed doors you tried to reopen. I needed you to stop defining connection by history and start recognizing alignment by fruit. Covenant doesn't abandon you in valleys. Partnership doesn't dim when your light grows. I'm not leaving you empty. I'm making space for the ones who will stand with you when the cost is high, who cover your name in prayer instead of dragging it through opinion, who show up for the labor, not just the miracle. It feels like loss now. You'll thank me for the subtraction later. Peace is better than company that confuses your purpose. You don't need people who tolerate your anointing, you need those who protect it. Now that you've learned this, I can trust you with more. Your discernment matured, your eyes opened. You're not led by neediness or nostalgia, you're led by wisdom. The healing I release won't just mend the ache, it will reset your expectations. You won't beg for space in rooms that shrink you. You won't chase affirmation from those without my perspective of your worth. I'm surrounding you with divine relationships, people anointed to walk with you, not compete against you. They aren't impressed by titles, they're moved by truth. They see your flaws and still call out your identity in me. This isn't isolation, it's sanctification. I'm setting apart your circle because I'm expanding your impact. Impact requires intimacy with me more than popularity with crowds. Bless those who left, not because they were right, but because I used them to reveal what you couldn't see. Lift your head. What I'm about to do won't be hindered by their absence. It will be strengthened by it. I cleared the room. I guarded the space. What I pour out next will be surrounded by people who honor not only you, but also what I'm doing through you. This is holy. I won't let anything toxic pollute it. The heaviness you felt wasn't me turning away. It was me crafting something sacred inside you that required surrender. You read silence as abandonment, delay as discipline, hiddenness as rejection. All along, I was shaping the character that could carry the weight of what's coming. I wasn't removing my presence, I was removing your dependence on comfort. I wasn't withholding blessing, I was waiting for foundations that could hold it. You asked for purpose. Purpose isn't mass-produced, it's forged by fire. The crown you're about to wear didn't come through shortcuts or applause. It was born in obscurity, quiet obedience, and unseen trust. You felt pressure because you were being formed, not to break you, but to forge you. You're not fragile anymore. You walked through what would have broken others and came out refined. You cried with faith, bled with conviction, and stood when strength was gone. That wasn't punishment. That was coronation in process. I stripped counterfeit dependencies. I cleansed your identity from lies. I burned off the residue of who they said you were, so you can walk as who I say you are. You're not who you were, and that's the point. You were always meant to grow. Now the refining is reaching completion. You're no longer led by fear. You don't worship outcomes, you trust the one who authors them. That shift makes you ready for the crown, not for display, but for dominion, stewardship, and influence that restores others. I'm placing you where you'll lift people from the places you once cried from. You'll recognize their pain because you knew it. You'll hear their silence because you spoke from it. You'll extend mercy because you received it. That's why you were prepared this way, to transform, not to impress. You weren't sent through fire to sparkle. You were sent to shine with a light that doesn't fade when crowds leave or flicker when pressure rises. A light rooted in me. This crown isn't fragile. It won't fall when you're criticized or crack under expectations. It's anchored in identity, not performance. You don't have to earn your place. You were chosen, not because you did it all perfectly, but because you didn't quit. You kept moving with swollen eyes. You kept believing when evidence was thin. That raw, imperfect faith moved heaven. Now, heaven responds. It's time for the great exchange, ashes for beauty, sorrow for joy, battle for reward. You wore survival long enough. Now I clothe you in authority, not from titles, but from intimacy with me. No one can revoke what I place on you. They may not understand it, but they will witness it. They may question your rise, but they cannot deny my fingerprints on your life. Straighten your posture. Walk forward with confidence, not arrogance, but confidence in me. This crown isn't for display, it's for movement. You are not finished. You are just beginning to reign. Amen.